Hi everyone. So today we'll be covering two topics from Linux Fundamentals Part 2 room on tryhackme. First point is what are the common Linux commands that you can use to interact with the system. When I say interact with the system, it means how you can create files, how you can create folders or directories and uh, similar to that other commands as well. And then we will be discussing about the permissions in Linux systems. Okay, so let's discuss the first point now. So as always we are referring to tryhackme as of now, and we will be covering the Linux fundamentals part 2. So in the last sessions we talked about how you can access a machine over SSH and what are the flags and switches. Now we will be discussing the task 4 where we will be going through the file system interaction commands. Okay, now before we do that, let's connect to our target machine that I have already started by clicking start machine, and you can see the target machine IP here. And I will connect to this machine using our attack box. So attack box I have already started, that's why you can see show split view. I will click here, and now we will connect to our target machine from this Kali machine. Okay, so I will open the terminal quickly, and as always we use SSH. Our target machine username is tryhackme, then our IP address is 10.10.110.233, and our password is also tryhackme. We will give yes here. Password is also tryhackme and press enter. And so once we are connected to this target machine, okay, then we'll continue going through these commands. So it's taking a bit longer than expected. Okay, fine. Let this one connect. We'll start with our commands. Okay. So now today we will be okay. It's already connected now. Yeah, I will clear the screen here, and as you can see, I will run whoami command to see what user I am logged in with. So I am logged in with tryhackme account. Okay. Now what we will do, we will be going through these parts, how we can create files and folders, how we are supposed to move files and folders. When I say move, it means cut in Windows. Okay, and similar to how you can delete files and folders. So these commands we will be going through. The first command that we are going to cover is touch. Okay, so touch command you can use to create a file normally. So here on our target machine, what I will do, I will go to the temp directory first. Okay, so that once we restart our system, though whatever there is in the temporary directory, it will be gone. Okay, so that's why whenever I have to create files folders, I try to show within the temp directory only. Now if you want to create a file using touch, the simple syntax is there, that is touch and then the name of the file that you want to create. Okay, so for example, if I want to create a test.txt, I can create it like this. Okay, and we have already discussed this part that in Linux it's not mandatory to mention the extensions, like it's not required to mention .txt at the end. You can create a file without extensions as well. So if I want to create a file named test, you can do that like this. Okay, if I want to create a file named test.txt, I can do it like this. Now if I run ls command to see the files, you can see that the files are here. So touch is only used to create the file. Okay, you cannot edit files using touch. Okay, it just creates the file. Now later on, if you want to edit these files, you will have to use a text editor. Okay, that we'll be discussing in future sessions. But using touch, you can normally create the file only. You are not supposed to edit or put any content into it. Okay, so that's all about touch. Let's clear our screen and move on to the second command, that is mkdir. From the name of the command itself, it's clear that it is used to create a directory, or you can say it's used to create a folder. Okay, so how you can create it, you have to just run mkdir space then the folder name. So suppose the folder name is mogembo. So like this you can create a folder. If I run ls command, you can see that in blue you can see the folder. Okay, so that's how you can create any folder or directory in Linux. Okay, so that's all about mkdir. I will again clear the screen, and move on to the third command, that is cp. Cp is used for copy, similar to Windows. We have, like in Windows we can right click and copy any file or folder. Similarly here we have to use cp command. So right now let's see what files we have here. We have a test.txt, we have a folder mogembo, right? So the syntax for cp is, I will clear the screen, is cp source space path. Okay, so that's how, like cp space source, and then my bad, then you have to mention destination. Okay, so that is the syntax. So for example, if I want to copy the file test.txt, right, so that is our source file, and I want to move it into the mogembo folder, right, that we already have in this current folder only. So what I can do, I can use copy space our source file space, then the destination is mogembo slash test.txt. Like this I can do. If I press enter, now what I will do, I will move into mogembo folder using cd, and here I will verify whether I have that file or not. So you can see the test.txt is moved here. Okay, I will again go back. Another way of using it, it's not required to mention the destination file name. Okay, if you do it like this as well, it's going to move the test.txt into mogembo folder. You are not, even if you do not mention test.txt here, it will move the file. Okay, so just a moment, before doing that, what I will do, I will go to mogembo folder and I will remove this file. Okay, so I will remove this rm command, we will just discuss in a while. But I'm just, I have removed that file. Okay, if I run ls, there is no file here. I will go back. Now again I will try to copy that test.txt into mogembo folder like this, and I'm not mentioning the destination file name. Okay, I'm just giving it like that. Copy this file into mogembo slash, means within, move it into the mogembo folder. If I press enter, now if I go to mogembo folder to check whether it is there or not using cd command, here I can run now ls to see whether it is moved. So it is moved. So this syntax also you can use to copy files into a folder. Okay, so that's all about copy. We discussed about copying the files. Similarly, if you want to copy a folder, right, if I go back, if I come out of mogembo, if I create a new directory here, like Tom Rider, this is a new directory. Okay, if you want to move this directory or like copy this directory into mogembo folder, what you are supposed to do, you are supposed to do it like similar to file copying the file. Copy Tom Rider, move this directory into mogembo like this. Okay, syntax you can again use, you can mention the destination directory name like Tom Rider, or if even if you do not mention it, it's going to copy. Okay, just a moment. So when you copy the directories, okay, you are supposed to use -r actually, so that it copies. -r means recursively in copy command. So when you use -r, it means that whatever is there within the Tom Rider directory, it will be copied, uh, including the directory name. Okay, so in case if you are not using -r, you will be getting this error that you are not using this particular option to copy the directory. Okay, now if I press enter, you can see the command ran successfully. Now if I go to mogembo directory to verify whether Tom Rider directory is moved there or not, I can do it using ls. You can see that Tom Rider directory is here. Okay, now I guess -r is clear. If you are using -r, what will happen, whatever is there in the Tom Rider folder or directory, that will be also moved into the destination directory wherever we are moving it. Okay, so that's how you are supposed to copy directories as well. Syntax is same, just one thing that you will have to use -r when you are moving the files. Okay, sorry, moving the directories, my bad. So let's clear the screen. Similar to copy, we have the move. Okay, it can be used to move files or folders. Only difference is it works like cut in Windows. Okay, so once you cut a particular file or folder from one location, it will be moved to another location, but it will be also removed from its source location, right? So that's how the move works. The syntaxes are exactly same as copy only. I will go back to the previous directory. Now see, we have a test file here, right? If I move this test to Mogembo, what will happen? Test will be removed from this particular, from our current path. Our current path is temp, so it will be moved from the temporary directory to Mogembo directory. Okay, so let's see how we can verify it. We use move space source file, so source file is test, and then we are moving it to the folder called Mogembo. So once you run it, now if you run ls, you will see that that test file is not no longer here. But if you go to Mogembo folder now using cd and run the ls command, you can see that the test file is moved to the Mogembo folder. So in case of copy, the copy of source file is kept in your source folder, but in case of move, your only one copy will be there. Sorry, my bad. One copy will be uh, available, and that will be in the destination directory. Okay, and our destination directory was Mogembo, so that's why we only see it in the Mogembo folder. We do not see it in our temp folder where we were earlier. Okay, so now clear the screen. Similarly, if you want to move the folder, you have to, I will go back right now. We have a Tom Rider folder here, right? If I want to move this folder into Mogembo, I have to use the same syntax similar to copy, move space hyphen R to like to copy all the content of Tom Rider and the Tom Rider directory as well. And we will mention our source directory. This is Tom Rider, and we want to move it into Mogembo like this. Okay, with move we do not have. Okay, just a So with move we do not we don't need to use hyphen I, it's not supported. So you can directly use this syntax, that move space source directory name, then wherever you want to send it. Okay, so we want to send it into Mogembo slash, so it will be moved into that folder. Now if you run ls, you can see that Tom Rider folder is no longer here, but if you go to Mogembo, you will see that it is there within the Mogembo folder. Okay, so that is the syntax for moving a file and moving a folder using mv command. Okay, now let's talk about how you can delete a file or a folder. Okay, so I will go back from this directory. We are in slash temp. Okay, now if I run ls command, we have a test.txt. Okay, if we want to remove this file, it's simple. You can run it like this: remove rm space the file that you want to delete. That's all. Now if you run ls, you will see that the file is gone. Okay, so that's how you can delete a file. Similarly, if you want to remove a folder, you have to use hyphen r actually with it. Okay, so that it removes all the content of that directory and that directory itself. Okay, hyphen r stands for recursive only now. So if you use rm space hyphen r, and we have a directory, right, Mogembo, in our current folder. I will show you. We have this directory Mogembo. So if I want to delete this Mogembo folder and everything within this particular folder, I can do this like rm space hyphen r space Mogembo. And now if you run ls, you will see that the Mogembo folder is gone. Okay, so all the files and everything that we created so far, everything is gone because we deleted the files using rm, and also we deleted the whole folder with rm as well. So that's how you can delete a folder or a file. Okay, as per your requirement. Now the final command that we have here is the file command. Okay, to show you the use of file command, what I need to do, I have to create a file first. I'll create a file like test.txt using touch. And now file actually is run on a file to determine the type of the file. Okay, sometimes you have PHP file, sometimes you have an image file, sometimes you have a text file. Okay, so when you run the file command on the image name, okay, it will tell you what is the type of a file. Okay, so for example, if I run file space test.txt, it will tell you that it's a text file. Ask it, just a moment. So right now it is telling us that it's empty because there is nothing in it. But if I put some content into the test.txt using echo command, like my name is Tom, right? And if I put it into test.txt, these syntaxes we already discussed. And now if I run file command on this particular file. So based on the content of this file, okay, content of this file is this. So based on the content of this file, the file command will tell us what is the type of this file. So when you run it now, you can see that the type of this file is ASCII text. Okay, this is normally means that text file it is. Okay, so that's how you can use file command. If you run it on a file like test.jpg, okay, if there were a file called test.jpg, it will tell you that it's an image file. Right now there is no such file, that's why we are getting this error. But if there were a image file or something else, okay, it will tell you that the type of the file. Okay, that's how you can use it. Now this point is really important. Okay, you can give the full paths to copy the files or directories as well. Okay, like it works on copy, move, remove, everything. Okay, on all of these commands you can give the full path. Now what do I mean by full path? Okay, uh, let's see. Suppose I create few directories here. Okay, within the temp directory I will create tom1 first. Okay, now I will go to tom1. I will create another directory tom2. Okay, again I will go into tom2. I will create another directory tom3. Okay, now I will go back. Again I will go back. I will go back. Right now we are in the root. Okay, now suppose I will clear the screen. Suppose I create a file here called test.txt. Okay, so and I want to put some content into it. So I am going to run this command like echo put something like this. Just a moment. Put this content into test.txt. So this test.txt will be created in our root directory, like wherever we are. Okay, it is asking, telling us that permission denied. Why? Because we are in the root, and in the root directory only root users are allowed to uh, create files. Okay, we will be talking about permissions later on. So that's why it's not allowing us to create any files here. So we can create files in temp directory. Okay, temp directory, anyone can create files. Okay, without any permissions required. Okay, so if we go to temp directory, and here if I try to run, sorry, the same command, you will see that it ran successfully, and I can verify whether the file got created or not using ls command. Okay, and I can read the content of it as well, just to show you that it is created successfully. Now what if you want to move this file into the directory that we created at last, like tom3? If you want to move it, now the full path of that uh, directory is /tmp slash tom1 slash tom2 slash tom3, right? That is the full path of that particular directory. Or if we talk from current perspective, the path is tom1, tom2, tom3, because we are already in /temp, right? So if I want to copy this particular file into tom3 directory, okay, what I can do, I can mention the whole path, okay, at once. I'm not supposed to copy the file one by one, like in each directory, and keep moving it to another directory. Okay, what I can do, I can give the whole path. So like this, copy space, our source file is test.txt, that is in our current folder only, and we want to move it into the tom3. So one thing I can do is I can give the whole path. Okay, this is considered as full path. So that is /temp slash tom1 slash tom2 slash tom3. And if I press enter, now if I go into this particular directory using full path only, like this, right? And here if I run ls command, I can see test.txt is copied here. If I try to check the content as well, you can see whatever content was there in test.txt in temp directory, that is also here. Now what I will do, I will go back again to my temp directory. Another syntax, okay, this is the syntax where we have mentioned the full path. Okay, another syntax is, you can do it like this as well, relative path. Okay, when we say relative, means compared to where we are, we can give the path. Okay, so we are in the /temp already, so it's not necessary to mention this part. Okay, so if you directly give it like this as well, okay, tom1, so the system would understand that tom1 means move the file into the tom1 of the current directory. Okay, so we are in slash temp, so it will automatically understand that what does tom1 means. It means that the name of the directory that is already there into the slash temp. Okay, so you can give the syntax. It is actually called relative paths. Okay, compared to where we are, if we give the path, that is the relative path. So if I do it like this as well, it's going to work. Okay, so you can either use full paths, okay, that starts with the root actually, or you can give the relative paths as well, which means you are giving a directory name which is already there in your current path. Okay, when I say current path, which is already there in your slash temp. Okay, you can verify those directories using ls. Okay, what are the directories and everything. So that's how you can use copy. Similarly, this path or this full path or this relative path, this works with all these commands. Okay, you can use it to move the files as well, remove the files as well, run the file command as well. See, I will show you how you can run that file command on test.txt from here only. Okay, right now we are in the slash tmp directory. Okay, now I can do it like this. One way I can give the whole full path, that is starting with slash tmp tom1 tom2 tom3. Okay, my bad, I ran it on tom3, that is a directory. We want to run it on test.txt. So you can see it is telling us that it is a ascii.txt. This is the full path that I gave here. Now another syntax I can give is the relative path. So we are already into slash temp. We can give tom1 tom2 tom3 test.txt. Okay, so these relative paths and full paths, okay, these works with all of these commands. Okay, so you can use whatever syntax you want. Now similarly, if I want to remove that file from like this uh, from slash temp directory only, like I don't want to go into tom1 tom2 tom3, and from there, after going there, I do not want to go there and then remove it file like this. Okay, I do not want to do this. I directly want to remove this file when I am in the temp directory. Okay, so what I can do, I can run either this syntax slash tmp slash tom1 slash tom2 slash tom3 slash test.txt. I can either run this, or I can give the relative path. In the relative path, we are not supposed to give our current directory path, right? So slash temp you can remove. If you do this, it's also going to remove this file. You can verify it by going into your tom1 tom2 tom3. Here if you ls, there is no file. So with rm as well, you can give the this is relative path, and you can also give the full path as well, that will contain slash temp in the beginning, right? So if you want to remove a file directly giving a path, you can do that as well. Okay, and similarly you can copy, move, remove, run file as well. Okay, and you can also create files as well using touch. For example, you want to now you come out of all these directories, you are in your temp directory. From here only you want to create a file into tom3. What you can do, you can give it like this. I am using the full path, I'm not going to use relative path. So similarly you can do it like this, and here you are giving the file name. Okay, so that will also work, and you can verify that whether it is created or not. I am using cd on the full path to move to that directory. You can use relative path as well. Here if I run ls, you can see the file is created with the name of test.txt. Okay, we had deleted it earlier using rm, but right now using touch we again created it. Okay, so that's the use of full path. When you give the path in starting with slash and then give the whole path including all the directories, that is full path. And when you give the path compared to your current directory, okay, that is relative path. Okay, so that's all about touch, mkdir, rm. When you are trying to remove a directory, you are supposed to use -r option. Okay, copying files we have discussed, move files we have discussed. One thing I forgot to mention, you can use, there is no rename command in Linux. Okay, how you can rename a file. For example, this is test.txt. You want to name it tom.txt. Okay, rename it. Okay, what you can do, you can simply run it like this. You can use move command only to do this. It's similar to like we are uh, performing a cut in Windows, then we are pasting it there only but with a different name. Okay, so how you can do it, you can simply use move space test.txt. Okay, this is our source, and then just the destination here only. Okay, we are not giving any path. Okay, we are not moving it to another directory, we are moving it into the same directory but with a different name. So if I do it like this, move space, this is our source file, and move all the content to tom.txt, but there is no path given, means it will paste here only in our current directory. Now if I run ls, you can see that the test.txt is gone and tom.txt is here, which seems like it has renamed the file only, but in actual it actually moved the file from our current directory to current directory only but with a different name. Okay, so that's how you can rename the file using move command. Okay, so yeah, that's all about these commands. We have a few questions here. How would you create the file name new note? So we can use touch command to create a file. Okay, so that's the right syntax. Now it is asking us what is the file type of unknown one in tryhackme's home directory. Okay, on our target machine. So let's see how we can move into the tryhackme's home directory. First of all, we have to find it out what is the home directory for this particular user. So you can find it out using echo space tilt sign. Okay, it will give you the home directory of this particular user. So this is the home directory. Let's move into that directory using cd space slash home slash tryhackme. If I run pwd, yeah, we are here into this is our current directory. Now if I run ls, you can see we have this folder is there, we have unknown one, we have my file, we have important file, right? It is asking us to give the file type of unknown one. So how we can do it, let's clear the screen. We can use file command on unknown one. So that is a ASCII text file, right? So I will put it here. So that is the right answer. How would we move the file my file to the directory my folder? Right now we have this my file. It's asking us to move this my file into my folder. So how we can do it? MV space our source file, which is my file, space our destination folder. So that is my folder slash. So that's how you can use it. Move my file my folder. Okay, even if you do not use slash at the end, it will automatically, Linux already knows that my folder, when you are mentioning my folder here, it's a folder. Okay, so even if you do not use slash at the end, okay, it will directly move that file into that folder. But if there are multiple folders like this, like my folder, then within that you have a folder one, so in that case you will definitely have to use a slash to tell that within my folder there is another folder to which you want to move this file. Okay, so don't forget that. But most of the time I try to use this slash only just to give a better idea that we are moving this file into the my folder, right? It gives an idea that we are moving this file into this folder. Okay, so it gives a better idea that this is a particular, it's a folder. Okay, using slash it gives you an idea that it's a folder, not a file. Okay, now what are the contents of this file? So it's asking us to show the content of my file. So if we run ls, the file is already moved into my folder, so we will go into my folder first and then we will try to read that file. Here if I run ls, you can see the file is here. We will try to read the content of it. So the content is thm file system. I will put it here just to complete this question. So yeah, that's the right answer, and it's asking us to practice this command, so I will just complete this part. So yeah, that's all about these more file system interaction commands. Earlier in our last sessions we discussed about ls, cd and all those commands, but now you know how you can copy, remove, move files as well. Okay, now move on to the permissions part. What do we mean by permissions? In Linux, for example, if a user is creating a file, okay, and if that user wants that no other user can read that file or no other user can write or like update that file, it can be achieved with permissions. Okay, and how you can see the permissions of these files, you can use ls space hyphen l to see the permissions. Okay, right now what I will do, I am in my folder, I will go back. So right now we have these files. When we run ls only, you can see this is a file, it's a folder, again it's a file. So now if you run ls space hyphen l, how I am able to find it out which one is a file? In the beginning of a file you will see hyphen right here. This is the permission part. Okay, this whole part is the permission part. So whichever is a file, there would be a hyphen in the beginning. Okay, and whichever is a folder or a directory, that will be having a d stands for directory. Okay, so that's how I already know that this one is a directory and these two are files, because we have hyphen in front of these two and d here. Okay, now these actually rest of these things are permissions. Okay, now it's kind of a syntax like xxx yyyy z. Okay, so three permissions for the owner of that particular file or folder. Then we have three more permissions for the group to which that particular file belongs to or that particular folder belongs to. And then the last three permissions belongs to any other users apart from the owner or apart from that group. Okay, what I mean by this is how you can find it out which one is the owner of that particular file or that folder, or which group that particular file or folder belongs to. So if we talk about this important file, okay, the owner of this file is user2 actually. Okay, in the second column, third column only, like this is the first column, this is second column, this is third column. So in the third column, always when you use ls-l command, you will see the owner of that file. So the owner of the important file is user2. Okay, similarly the owner of my folder is tryhackme. Also the owner of unknown one is tryhackme. Okay, that is the user who created this particular file or the owner of this file. Now when we talk about the group, the fourth column gives you the group name. So the owning group of this particular important file is user2. My folder's owner group is tryhackme. Unknown one's owner group is tryhackme. Now when I say group, there may be different users. It means that all the permissions that are set for group, okay, all the members of that particular group would be able to, those permissions would apply to all those members of a group. Okay, so see right now if we talk about important file only, okay, I told you these first three permissions applies to the owner of the group. Okay, so the user2. Now the permissions syntax is first of all read, write and execute. Okay, so R stands for read, W stands for write, then there should be an X here actually. Execute is denoted by X. So read, write, execute. Now what do we see here for important? That the first section is for the owner of the group file. So this user2 is the owner. So user2 can read this important file because R is there. User2 can also write to this file, but there is a hyphen, there is no execute permission, which means that user2 cannot execute this file. Execute means suppose there are some scripts, some Python code, some C++ code, C code, right? So when we execute those files, that is the execute permissions. Okay, so that permission is not there. So for user2, the permissions are read and write. Okay, these three parts tells us that the owner of this particular important file is having read and write permission. Now this second part I told you, it belongs to the group. So the user2 group can read the file only. Okay, so whatever users are there within that user2 group, okay, they will be having read permissions. Okay, third part I told you everyone else. Okay, like all the other users on the system. So apart from the owner user 2 or apart from the owner group user 2, all the other users can read the file. Okay, but they cannot write the file or they cannot execute the file because those permissions are not set. Similarly, if we talk about my folder, the first D tells us that it's a directory. Now it tells us that the tryhackme user, right, for that user the permissions are read, write, execute. Means they can execute files within these folders. Okay, but within these folders, for whatever files we create, those files will be having different permissions as well. Okay, those also you can move into this directory and use ls-l to find it out the permissions of those files. Okay, but here it is telling us that the tryhackme user is having read, write, execute permission. Then this is the second part. Okay, the tryhackme group is having read but no write permission and the execute permission. Okay, and then the third part is any other user on the system apart from this user and this group are having read and execute permission, no write permission. Okay, so those are the permissions here. Unknown one files permissions are similar to important ones, so we are going to skip that part. But in brief, if I tell you, it means that tryhackme user can read and write. All the members of tryhackme group can read only. These three permissions are only set to read, and all the other users apart from this tryhackme user or tryhackme group, they can read file. Okay, so this is how the permissions are set. Now suppose here on important file, right, we see that only user 2 is allowed to read and write to file. Okay, no other users, like other permission, there is no write permission, right? So only user 2 can write. Okay, but let's see which user we are right now. We are tryhackme. Now if I try to put some content into important file using echo, okay, like test, and I'm sending this output into important, okay, it is going to give me an error. Why? Because tryhackme user is not allowed to write, right? Because user 2 user is the user who can write to it. Okay, so once we become user 2, okay, we switch our account. Similar to Windows, we can switch our user to other users as well. Once we switch into that, we would be able to write to that file. Okay, so how we can switch to another user? I will clear the screen. I will still run the ls command just to show you what are the files and everything we have here. Now what our target is, we are trying to update the important file, but we cannot update is this file being a tryhackme user. Okay, we have to become user 2. So to switch your user to another user, the syntax is su. Su stands for switch user, then space the username to which you want to switch. So that is user 2. Okay, I press enter. The password for this is also user 2 actually. So once I press enter, now you can see in the beginning that you are user 2. We can also verify it using whoami command. So we have become user 2 now. And now if I run ls command here, my bad, ls-l to see, important file was only allowed to be written by user 2. And now if I run that echo command here, echo space, we are trying to put this test content into important file, right? It will run successfully. But last time when we ran it as a tryhackme user, it gave us permission denied. Why? Because these permissions are set. The return permission is only allowed to user 2, and you can verify it by using cat command as well to read the this particular file. So when you read it, you can see test is there, right? So that's how you can using su command right here, you can switch to a different user. And looking at this part, okay, you can understand what permissions or who is the owner. This is the owner, this is the owner group. What are the permissions for this particular user? What are the permissions for this group? What are the permissions for any other user apart from this user and this group? So this third part tells us those permissions, right? So yeah, that's all about the permissions part. Now here, if you want to read this part as well, what is users, what is groups, you can do that. But in brief, user is a single user and groups may contain a number of users. Okay, So if you are giving a permission to a particular group, that permissions would apply to all the users within that group. Okay, so that's how you can do it. Now there is one thing that is explained here. Okay, right now what I will do, right now I'm if I run whoami command, I am logged in as user 2, like, right, because we switched our user to user 2. If I run exit command, I will be exiting that session that I logged in with user 2, and I will come back to try hack me user now. Okay, now when we use -l option while switching our user, like earlier we only used like this, right? If we do not use -l, what that will mean, that whatever system configuration, or like whatever, there are some things called environment variables, some kind of data that is already there in the terminal related to try hack me. If I directly use this command, okay, and press enter and give the user 2 as password, all that data will be applied to user 2 session as well. Okay, which means suppose we had some data stored in memory, or in temporary storage, we have environment variables as well. So those will be still same for the user 2 as well. Okay, because we only used su space user 2. Now if you want a brand new session, okay, which is not related to the previous session in any way, what you can do, you can use su space -l user 2. What that will do, it will give you a brand new session. Okay, it's not going to have any data related to the old session. Now if you want to see the live example, I will show you. I'm getting out of it. I will clear the screen. Right now I will show you, we are in the current directory, or we are in the home directory of, just a moment, exit. Yeah, now I will run whoami. We are logged in as tryhackme, and I will show you where are we are in the home directory of tryhackme user. Now if I use su to switch into user 2 like this without -l, you will see that I am still into the home directory of previous user, right? Previous user was tryhackme. So that is the relation, like we are still somehow related to the old user. We are still our home directory is set as /home/tryhackme. We are like, we directly spawn into that particular directory that was already there as our home directory. Okay, but now I will get out of it using exit. Right now I am in the home directory of tryhackme, but if I use su space -l option with switch user command and I put the password, now see, if I run pwd command, you will see that now I am automatically in the home directory of user 2, which means the last session effect is not there on our new session. So if you want to get a brand new session, you should be using -l. And I would suggest, whenever you are switching user, always use this option, so that your older configuration with old account, right, that is not affecting your new account. Okay, so you should be using -l most of the time. Okay, so that's about all about -l option. Now we have few questions. It is asking us who is the owner of the important file, right? First of all, let me get out of this session. So now we are tryhackme user only. Let's run ls-l. It's asking us who is the owner of important file. So I told you owner of this file is the third column, so that is user 2. What command you use to switch to user 2? So that is su space user 2. Now switch to user 2 using the password user 2. So let's switch our user to user 2 using password user 2, and it's asking us the content of the important file. So let's see, ls, we have important file here. Let's use cat command to read the output of this file. My bad, last time what we did, we by mistake we put some content into it as a test, so that's why we don't have that content. What we can do, we, if we want to read that old content, okay, we'll have to stop this machine and restart the machine again, so that we have the default files again. So that's why for the timing I will just skip this question, but the answer is something like um, I guess permission or something like that would be the answer of that particular, that would be the content of that particular file. Okay, so we'll skip it for the time being, because we have already updated the content of it, and the answer is not going to be test, because it should be starting with thm and then something should be there. So we'll just skip it for the time being. But normally if you are trying to do it, if you read the output of important file after switching your user to user 2, you would be able to read the flag that is stored within the important file. So yeah, that's all for today. In case you guys have any doubts, please do comment. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.